Durer's woodcut, Christ taking leave of his mother, is full of wonderfully observed naturalistic details. Jesus' mother kneels on the ground, her skirts crumpled in disarray around her, her expression sorrowful, her hands tightly clasped as she beseeches her son not to leave to begin his preaching, knowing that this will ultimately lead to his death. She and the other two female figures are framed by a kind of open lean-to cut from rough wooden planks. Christ steps out onto a path strewn with rocks, pausing for a moment to look back at his mother and raise his hand in a blessing. Behind him, an almost leafless tree twists into the sky, separated from the foreground space by a trellis made of loosely interwoven twigs. In the background, a massive round tower with battlements and a drawbridge encloses a tightly crowded cluster of buildings, half-timbered houses like the ones the artist would have seen in his hometown of Nuremberg, an elegant classical palace with a triangular pediment decorated with a carved reclining nude, and a magnificently domed structure that may have been intended to represent the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. To the right of this apparently impregnable fortress, we can see Jesus' disciples waiting patiently for him to join them. They gather on a road that winds through a perspectively correct landscape towards a city that nestles on the bank of a river at the foot of distant mountains. This print was probably made in 1504 or 1505 as one of a series illustrating the life of the Virgin. Durer began working on the prints 2 or 3 years earlier and sold copies of them separately before issuing them as a set in 1511. Though the woodblock into which the image was cut was less than 9 inches across, Durer has managed to suggest a remarkably convincing illusion of open space, in which every detail is shown precisely and perfectly in proportion.